Hi, hello, my name's Ollie and this is Bookdraw. For those of you who don't know, Bookdraw is where I get inspired by different queer fiction and create drawings from it. So today I am talking about the 14 Holy Helpers, because currently I'm working on Angel of History and this is a long process. There are 14 of these little helpers, and when I started doing some research on each of them, I became more and more interested by their tales. So I'm just going to run through a few of the stories because I thought they were pretty interesting, in some cases quite funny. So kicking off, I don't want to talk about this fella just because there isn't too much to say, but his name is Agathius, and his story wasn't that great, whereas St. George, his was pretty interesting. So St. George basically is one of the ones which people are most familiar with, so George got involved when there was this king who had set up a lottery-based system of people getting knocked off by a dragon. However, it all went a bit wrong when his daughter got put into the lottery and had to be sacrificed to this dragon. So he hired George to go kill off this dragon, and George lanced him with this spear, which damaged the dragon and then knocked him off completely. Whereas St. Christopher, this one right now, he was like this giant guy who kept on crossing the river and helping people to and from this riverside. He had this little kid crossing over, wanting to cross over the river, and all of a sudden, like, all the winds picked up, the river got really intense, and basically he really struggled with helping this kid cross over. When he put the kid on the other side, he was like, "Dude, why were you so heavy?" And he was like, "I am Christ, and I am carrying all the sins of the world," and that's why he has a little orb. St. Catherine, or the Catherine Wheel, which you might be familiar with Guy Fawkes. So Catherine basically didn't want to give up her virginity, and this guy totally wanted to marry her, and she was like, "No, dude, I'm married to Jesus Christ, I'm not having it." So he was like, "Well, I'm going to torture you then." So put her on this wheel was going to put her on this wheel, but then as she was approaching the stadium to be stretched by this breaking wheel, she touched it and it broke, shattering into a million tiny little pieces. The crowd was shocked and horrified and gasped, and Maxi was outraged, the emperor dude, because he really wanted to get with her, and was really annoyed that she could kind of touch his breaking wheel and it would fall apart. So he grabbed the nearest sword and basically just decapitated her and chopped off her head. This was the end for Catherine, but nobody forgot what happened to her, and now unmarried women and often pray to her, and she's also got a patronage against sudden death, so people really kind of respect her and love her. And in the book Angels of History, she's kind of a key character which Jacob looks up to in the narrative. So I wanted her to appear kind of holy and light within this image, and that's why she's kind of in hues of yellow, which is quite nice. So the next one is Blaise. Blaise is a quirky character. He's got a thing for these candles, and that's because basically he was being dragged over into jail. But along his journey he met a couple of people, one of them which was this mum with a kid who's choking, so he managed to sort that out, and now he's the patron saint of sore throats. This other woman, she had a boar which was being kind of mistreated or something, and he basically put a stop to that, and so while he was in jail, the woman sent the boar over with a couple of candles, and now as he looks at them in his jail cell, he was given hope by the light of these two candles, so that's why he's got them there. And now I love Barbara. Barbara's pretty awesome. St. Barbara's story is epic. So basically, her dad was a pagan king, locked her up into this tower, and she wanted to put in this extra window to reflect that she was totally into Christianity and into the Holy Trinity. So somehow she managed to do that, a bit of a DIY job, I know, but she basically got away with it, put it in there. Dad kicked off because he was like, "You've got this extra window in here. I'm not having this, and I'm getting you married up. You're a pagan. You should be a pagan." She's like, "No, I'm not. I'm totally Christian now. Get over it." So Dad was like, "I'm sick of your kind of attitude. You're a bad kid. You're really petulant. You need to learn your lessons. I'm going to torture you until you reclaim paganism and get over this Christian fad. It's just a phase, and I'm over it." And she's like, "It's not going to happen, dude. I'm like totally into Christianity now. Like, feeling that love." So he goes and like gets her tortured each night, but she keeps on waking up every morning fresh as a daisy, and like nothing's happened. And like, he just gets really angry with the whole situation. So it's just like, fine, I'm just gonna chop your head off then. So he does, and she dies. And this must have really pissed off God, because basically he sends down some lightning and kills the dad just after that happens. So now she can often be seen with a tower and some lightning in her image. But I do love Saint Barb. I think she's a pretty cool story of all the ones that are out there. So I just wanted to give a little bit more time just to reflect on her. Anyway, so carrying on, this guy, Saint Cyriacus, I think his name's pronounced, he basically gave up all his wealth. He was super rich and was like, "What the hell am I doing? I need to give back to the world." And he did, and he basically became a saint because of that. I don't want to go into too much detail around him, he's not that interesting. This guy, so he, Saint Giles, he basically hung out with a deer. They lived as a hermit, and it was just the two of them chilling out together, and then there was like some king's huntsman going on, and basically the deer was about to get shot, and Giles stepped in the way, and he got wounded instead, and so became like a saint for being really humane and stuff. This is Saint Vitus. Vitus was basically a little kid when he was all into his religion, and someone got really angry with him. I can't even remember who it was, but they basically decided to chuck him in a giant cauldron full of either molten lead or oil. And instead of burning to a little crispy cinder, he just kind of hung out in there like it was a bath and chilled, and just was quite happy with it all. It wasn't until later on that they were able to basically knock him off and kill him, because the rest of the time he was just like, "Yeah, and what? I just hang out in molten lead all the time, it's fine, this is no big deal, what the hell are you doing?" So they did end up managing to kill him, but he did also do some stuff by like expelling demons and things. So he's for some reason patronage of like against epilepsy, lightning, and the protection of domestic animals. Anyway, Saint Erasmus, this is a bit twisted, literally. He basically got thrown down a hill with a load of spikes. At the bottom, an angel healed him and brought him back to life. They then tried to like starve him for ages, but he just kept on getting like fed magically or whatever. So in the end, the only way that they could kill him off is by like using a device which basically strung up his intestines and wrapped it around, and that's why he has this whiplash in his hand as a representation. So really nice friendly image that he's portraying in kind of cathedrals and churches, where that's what happened to him. And so for I always find this weird that like each device that basically tried to do in the saint, they kind of use as a landmark. Anyway, Huestis. Huestis was a warrior and a fighter, and then all of a sudden, as he was kind of out hanging out on a hunt or something, he saw this cross embedded in this deer, and it made him like convert to Christianity. And then again, like a few other nasty things happened to him, but he basically kind of stuck with God throughout that, and that's why he's there. So this is kind of wrapping everything up. I basically put in skin tone at the end of each of the saints once I had them all together, because I just wanted to make sure I liked how they all kind of work together as a piece, because I kept it to singular kind of colours, so you can see like this is in red, whereas Eustace was in green and Cyriacus is in blue. And that was just to give it some variety. There's also a few which I haven't really touched on. Up there you can see in the top corner Headless Denis and Margaret coming out of the dragon. Basically, Margaret got swallowed by Satan in the form of a dragon, and then her cross aggravated her belly and he popped out. This is also Pantaleon, and he was like a physician and then got converted to Christianity. And then like another emperor was angry with that and was like, you should totally be more of a physician, and he was like, no, I'd totally be enlightened by God, and he like healed people like the blind and stuff, and so the emperor was not having any of it, and he also got knocked off too. Whereas Denis, he seemed to learn from everyone else's mistake of when you get your head chopped off you die, and instead he decided to carry his head around with him. So Denis is kind of one of the more interesting ones in that sense as well. But what I love about Rabi Alameddine's version of the saints, like particularly Pantaleon, is he gives him like a rose-tinted halo, and each of the saints, they kind of have different parts, and I think Pantaleon's wearing high heels as well, but like Death has black nail varnish and sleeves, and the Devil's dressed purely in white, so it's made it like more contemporary and interesting. So anyway, that's enough on these guys. I hope you come back to see the final image, which will be loaded up later. Please like and subscribe. Come back for the final image and the book review on this one, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Subscribe!